Does your bending sound like that? Or maybe your bending sounds like that. If so, here's 3 ways to make your bending sound like this. Right, here we go, bending. I've seen a lot of bad bending, whether it's overbent or underbent or just executed poorly. A lot of students are asking me about bending, saying it hurts, how to do it, the pain, the agony. Yes, we've all been there. We've all been there. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I am going to show you 3 ways that you can make sure your bending is sounding on point. Okay, so tip number 1 is hand posture. Our fretting hand needs the correct posture to execute the bend correctly. So it all starts with our thumb. We're going to place our thumb over the top of the neck, and then we're going to play the bend with our 3rd finger. We're going to use our 2nd finger and our 1st finger to hug that 3rd finger and really give it the strength and support it needs to execute a bend safely. And what I mean by safely is so the note isn't going to slip out of our fingers. Okay? So the 2nd and the 1st finger are hugging the 3rd finger. We place the 2nd and the 1st finger on the strings. Okay, and they are actually playing the string as well. They are actually putting pressure down onto the strings, although the note is only being produced by the 3rd finger. When we have this posture, we can then push with all 3 fingers in to the fretboard and up. So we're pushing in and then up. It's not just a vertical movement. It's not just pushing up, it's pushing in and up at the same time. That's where the force is developed. Okay? If you've got all these things in place, you should be able to execute a bend with no issues. But like with all things, this is going to take practice. Okay, so tip number 2 is pitch. When we're bending, we need to make sure we are hitting the correct pitch every single time, as it sounds awful if we're slightly over bending the pitch and making it sharp, or slightly under bending and making it flat. It sounds just really bad, okay? There's no words to describe how bad it is. There is an exercise we can do that works on ensuring we get the correct pitch every single time. Okay, so we're going to take our 3rd finger and we're going to place it on the 9th fret of the G string, or the note E. And the 2 most common forms of bending on the guitar are the 1-tone bend or the half-tone bend or the semitone bend. A tone on the guitar is 2 frets and the semitone on the guitar is 1 fret. So, practicing the tone bend first. We're going to play the 9th fret and then we're going to play the 11th fret. We're going to remember the pitch of the 11th fret and then come back to the 9th and try and bend to that 11th fret pitch as accurately as possible. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is playing the bend first as accurately as possible and then playing the 11th fret to see how close you were. And then you can take this same method and practice it with your half-tone bends. So playing the 9th fret and then the 10th fret and then trying to replicate the 10th fret. Okay, trying to replicate the 10th fret first and then playing the 10th fret. Do this slowly. There's no rush with this. This is purely for you. No one's going to hear this. This is purely for you to practice recalling these pitches correctly when you're doing improvisations. Tip number 3. Now we have our correct hand posture and we are bending to the correct pitch. It's time to add a bit of zest to our bends, a bit of spice. And the easiest way we achieve this is by adding a little bit of vibrato at the top of the bend. It's quite challenging, but it sounds great done correctly. We're going to use the 9th fret on the G again, okay, and we're going to be practicing this with tone bends. So we do the bend, and when we're at the top, what I want you to visualise for adding vibrato is not the pitch of the note going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and that's how we get vibrato. Okay, what I want you to do is visualise the pitch going ever slightly flat and then back up to pitch and then flat again, back up to pitch, flat again, back up to pitch. So essentially, you're releasing the pressure ever so slightly and then bringing it back up to full pressure, back up to the full tone. And how fast or slow we do this is entirely up to you, or entirely up to the song. Of course, sometimes really fast vibrato doesn't sound really nice in a slower song, or vice versa. And sometimes it does. Obviously, it's entirely up to you, it's entirely up to the musical situation. So we bend up, and then slightly release, and then up and release, up and release. I remember this being really challenging when I started to put this into my playing. So there we have it, some tips on bending. I hope that was helpful. Remember, these are just tips, okay? The rest is down to you. Playing guitar is about expression. It's about sounding like yourself. Figure out what works for you, figure out what you like, okay? If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.